Hello. Happy Sunday. If you're watching it on Sunday. um, so we're in 1 Nephi chapter 21. This is more Isaiah stuff. So we'll see how we do. We'll see how I do. Yeah. The Messiah will be a light to the Gentiles and will free the prisoners. Israel will be gathered with power in the last days. Kings will be their nursing fathers. Compare Isaiah 49. From what I have found, these chapters pretty much echo the chapters from Isaiah. Sometimes there's some things that are added or not added, but for the most part, they're pretty similar, if not exactly the same. So, verse 1, and again, hearken, O ye house of Israel, all ye that are broken off and are driven out because of the wickedness of the pastors of my people. Yea, all ye that are broken off, that are scattered abroad, who are of my people, O house of Israel. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken ye, people from afar. The Lord hath called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. And so sometimes it's Jesus talking, sometimes it's Isaiah talking. And it sounds like this is Jesus talking. And I don't know if this is what he means, but there's a lot of times when people decide on their own that they are prophets or they are leaders, or maybe they are in a leadership position, but they aren't following the gospel or the Lord. They're, for whatever reason, are actually leading people astray, or they're hurting people. And even just the fact that I feel like I put chapstick on my lips every time. I probably do. Even just the fact that, people, even when they're doing a good job and they're not trying to, they're not trying to control people, or they're not trying to hurt people, but just the fact that they're human and might say or do things that are hurtful to other people. Humans aren't perfect. So it sounds like here he's saying, all of you that are broken off and are driven out because of the wickedness of the pastors of my people. It sounds a lot like speaking out to right now. Probably been across time, but right now there's just so much that's out there that has gone on because of, somebody who is in the church, or that maybe are using the name of the church or whatever to hurt people, or that people have been hurt by something somebody did and are leaving or breaking away from the gospel. And he's saying, like, hearken, all of you that this has happened to. And then he's saying, the Lord hath called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. So maybe this is Isaiah talking. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hid me, and said unto me, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Then I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught, and in vain. Surely my judgment is with the Lord, and my work with my God. I think this is just Isaiah saying he's spent his whole life, dedicated his whole life into declaring the word of the Lord, and that because he speaks with the voice of God, like Jesus quotes Isaiah more than any other prophet. So he he's got a gift for speaking the word of the Lord and uses his gift for good. And he's saying that, the Lord has made me this way. And then he gets direct. He gets direct very metaphorically, but he just speaks directly about the Lord. And then he's saying, I've done this my whole life. And, sometimes things that we spend our life doing that are our life's work are can feel like we're doing it for nothing. Especially it seems like, maybe with people who are speaking the word of God, because not everybody's willing to listen. It's like I've labored in vain. I've spent my strength for naught. I know it can feel like that a lot of the time in our human existence, that we've just worked really hard for what, I did what I thought I was supposed to do, but it's for nothing. But he's saying it's okay because it's God that is judging me and that, I answer to, and I've been doing his work tirelessly. So it's not in vain, actually. And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb, that I should be his servant to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord, and my God shall be my strength. And he said, so I think he's now talking about the Lord when he said, and he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldst be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. It is a light thing. So a light thing in my mind goes to, it's just a little thing, it's no big deal. But I'm like, no, this is a big deal. And I think I'm remembering, I don't study ahead of time when I do this, by the way. I think I've said it almost every video, but I'll say it again. I don't study ahead. I'm not trying to teach anyone. I'm just trying to read the scriptures with you. So that is verse, it is a light thing. I think I remember hearing somebody say a light thing as in being a light, like not hiding your light under a bushel type of light. So I'm looking up the cross-reference. My book I have doesn't have footnotes. So I'm going to look up the footnotes, and it is saying, let's see. A light thing. They were set to be a light unto the world and to be saviors of men. So yeah, he's not saying it's a light thing, like lightweight, like little. He's saying this is like light. This is like sharing the light of the gospel. So it is a light thing that thou should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles. So if I would have just kept reading, it kind of answers itself. That thou mayest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth, to him whom the nations abhorreth, to servants of rulers, kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because of the Lord that is faithful. So I think the Lord is speaking to anybody who, he's speaking to Isaiah, but also to anybody who has felt like they're hated because they are living the gospel or because they're preaching the gospel. Those that are despised, like Jesus Christ was the most despised of everyone. I mean, he sunk below us all, and they raised him on a cross because people hated him. He's speaking to everybody who feels like that. One day, people will see. Kings shall see and arise. Princes also shall worship, because of the Lord that is faithful. One day, every knee shall bow, and every tongue confess that Jesus is Lord. Thus saith the Lord, in an acceptable time have I heard thee, O isles of the sea, and in a day of salvation have I helped thee, and I will preserve thee, and give thee my servant for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages. what's desolate heritages? I wonder if there's a footnote. I won't spend all my time looking things up because just having you watch me look through things would be a waste of everyone's time. But basically, what he's saying though is there is such thing as salvation, and his people will be preserved. He does keep his covenant, his promise that he's made to the house of Israel, the house of Abraham. And it sounds like, basically people be caused to inherit the desolate heritages. So all that is lost is going to be restored. Thou mayest say to the prisoners, go forth to them that sit in darkness, show yourselves. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall the heat nor the sun smite them. For he that hath mercy on, that's a tongue twister. For he that hath mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I will make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. And then, O house of Israel, behold, these shall come from afar. And lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, for the feet of those who are in the east shall be established, and break forth into singing. O mountains, for they shall be smitten no more, for the Lord hath comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. So I don't know what lands he's referring to. Like, I love to travel and I love culture, but my geography skills are very small. And I don't know who exactly he's talking about, but he does mention from the north and from the west, and then he says the east. I haven't heard the south yet. Or maybe I'm not seeing it now. He's basically mentioning everybody that the Lord hasn't forgotten us. He hasn't forsaken us, and he hasn't forgotten us. And he will show us that he hasn't, and one day we'll all see it and recognize it. For can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee, O house of Israel. I really like how he uses that imagery because, yes, humans are fallible. Yes, some humans are we make mistakes. So sometimes maybe a mom does forget her sucking child, but probably of all relationships, a mom and her baby probably is the strongest. And a mom very rarely is going to ignore her baby when he's hungry or when she's hungry and is crying and in need. And so the Lord is using that example of, like, does a mother forget her child, her suckling child that is wholly dependent on her? And then he says, yeah, maybe. But he's saying, like, the chance is super slim. I think that's why he's using that example. And yeah, for human beings, it might happen. But for me, I won't forget. I think it's just a really beautiful way of explaining that he's not going to forsake us, and he's not going to forget us, and he will be there, and he will succor us. I think it's just really beautiful imagery. Yea, they may forget, yet I will not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. I mean, he is preserved even in his resurrection. He preserved the prints on his hands and his feet as a reminder. I don't think he needs a physical reminder, but as a symbol to show us that he hasn't and won't forget. They're always there. Thy children shall make haste against thy destroyers, and they that made thee haste. No, let me start over. I don't know why this is such a tongue twister for me today. Thy children shall make haste against thy destroyers, and they that made thee waste shall go forth with thee. I wonder if it has any footnotes there. It's kind of something that's long that I won't do here. People that made thee waste shall go forth above thee. It just sounds again like protection, and I'll fight against your destroyers, and that anybody that was against you will be cast off. It's kind of what it sounds like to me. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together, and they shall come to thee. And as I live, saith the Lord, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on even as a bride. Bind them on even as a bride. I think this is another, Isaiah is very symbolic. I think this is another symbol of how much the Lord loves us. He's been called the bridegroom, and his church is the bride symbolically. And, not all marriages work this way, but marriage is meant to be an eternal thing where the love of spouses is like completely devoted. And so I'm seeing like the Lord will clothe the people of his church, of his gospel, as if they are a bride, and he'll ornament them and treat them as like they are his bride, which is, I think, just another beautiful imagery and symbolism. For thy waste and thy desolate places and the land of thy destruction shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallowed thee up shall be far away. I don't know what it means by too narrow by reason of the inhabitants. It's like there's so many people that will be in the lands of destruction. I don't know what that means. If you ever watch this and you know what that means, put it in the comments. It will be something that I probably won't look into right away, to be honest, but it is something that I do have a plan in the future once I finished my PhD to do some gospel study, to become more of a scriptorian and a gospel scholar. I mean, I think I do fairly well. I've read the scriptures my whole life. Started reading them more on my own when I hit seminary, so 9th grade. I read the scriptures my whole life, but not like up until then. It was more of a passive, like I read them in church. Started reading the Book of Mormon many times. Made it maybe not even all the way through First Nephi. But once I hit seminary, 9th grade, so like 15, I got really serious. And I haven't read the Bible from cover to cover. I've read it in books and pieces, and I've followed along with the church as they've studied it. But it's been like a guided, and so I can say that I've read it, but from cover to cover, I don't have it. The Book of Mormon I've read many times, Doctrine and Covenants several times, Pearl of Great Price a few times. Anyways, none of that has anything to do with anything other than the fact that I do want to dig into scriptures and understanding things and really cross-referencing and just going deeper, maybe like PhD level minus the PhD. Then shalt thou say, excuse me, I've had a cough. Then shalt thou say in thine heart, who hath begotten me these? Saying, I have lost my children, and am desolate, and a captive, and removing to and fro. And who hath brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where have they been? I think we'll be surprised about, like, why? What? Where did all these people that care about me come from? Where did all these blessings come from? Maybe family, I don't know. Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles, and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. There will be people supporting people and caring about people, and for some people it might seem surprising because they haven't maybe felt like people have shown up for them before. That's what it sounds like to me. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust of thy feet. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord thy God. No, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. I just added thy God in there from habit. For they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. I remember reading scripture stories, probably mostly around the time right before Christ was born, and the believers that were waiting for the sign. It got closer and closer, and it wasn't coming, and more people were leaving and mocking the people that believed, making fun of them, and then starting to threaten them, like, if he hasn't come by this day and time, we're going to put you to death. And I always felt like that was so scary and so sad, and I knew it was true. I knew it wasn't just a story, but it also seemed so foreign. Like, how could that be? Like, I know people don't like church sometimes, and they don't like feeling judged by religion, and I know that happens, but like to get to the point where people are actually feeling mocked and feeling ashamed almost, or at least others are trying to make people feel ashamed for their testimony. It just seems foreign, but it doesn't anymore. That's kind of what's going on in our world a lot. There's a lot of talk about just a lot. I mean, I don't have to explain it. I think everybody sees it, but there's a lot of persecution of people that are religious and that belong to a congregation, and there's a lot of shaming of people, and there's a lot of shaming of religion, including my religion, that, being blamed for a lot of things, and threats are being made. There, a few weeks ago, the church was had an attack, a shooter, and a fire, and 5 people died. All of that kind of stuff. So I can see now, like, this is like one of those things that's just like, hang on, don't lose sight of the goal, don't lose sight of your testimony, and know that I am with you. Know that you will be taken care of, and that those people who actually wait with me and on me will not be ashamed, will actually be delivered and cared for and restored. For shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captives delivered? But thus saith the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contendeth with thee, and I will save thy children. I think verse 24, that question, I think the Lord is just, he knows what our questions are, he knows what our doubts are, he knows what our fears are, and so it's almost like he's reading our thoughts. But these big, terrible, horrible, scary, mean people, can we really be saved from them? Like, if you were to try and take a bone away from a dog, or if you were in the wild and saw like a hyena eating a dead impala or a dead antelope in the wild, and you tried to take it away, you would be attacked, right? They're not going to tolerate that. And then that's, I think, a fear, is it really going to happen? And the Lord is like, yeah, even then, even the captive of the mighty shall be taken away, even the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contendeth with thee, and I will save thy children. And I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, that they shall be drunken with their own blood as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. One day everybody's going to know. Even those who have been afraid, even those who have maybe left, or maybe have been swept away in the turmoil. Everybody's going to know one day that Jesus is the Christ, and that he does love them and he is on our side. And I think there will be, I just don't think we can, behavior is important. This isn't a free pass to do what you want, just as long as your heart's in the right place. I just don't believe in that. But at the same time, I don't believe that judgment is behavior alone. I think it's more about the heart. It's more about what's going on under the surface. I think it's more of a big picture of the Lord knows what you've been through. He knows all of it. And there will be a separation from, people with like an actual intention of hurting someone else, an intention of being evil, an intention of fighting against God, and those that are confused and maybe got caught up in it. I think there'll be a separation and they'll have a chance to heal. They'll have a chance to be restored, to remember and to choose back in or not. Agency's always been at the head of the plan, and the Lord can't and won't remove our agency from us. But I do think that there's a lot more grace out there and mercy from the Lord than most of us realize. So anyways, that was chapter 21. Again, reading it through, there's a lot I don't understand. There's some I do understand. But also reading it through that lens again of Moroni 10:3, the Lord loves his people. That he's here with great mercy. Should we read it real quick? Let's read it. Again, before we go, I have to remember that this Book of Mormon is the whole book, not just Moroni 10:3. 8, 9, and 10. Behold, I would exhort you that when you shall read these things, if it be wisdom in God that you should read them, that you would remember how merciful the Lord hath been unto the children of men from the creation of Adam, even down until the time that you shall receive these things, and ponder it in your hearts. Again, the Lord has great mercy. He loves his children. And if we read our scriptures and view life and try to understand the plan through that lens, it is super helpful and it can change a lot and actually clarify a lot of the confusion. So anyway, have a great day.